That's the best Pergil impression I've ever heard.
That's awful.
That's a great. No, it sounds like one of those.
I'm doing space whales.
Doing Space Wars.
And this is great because you just used now 2 quotes from 2 Star Wars shows that
Right.
both had
Both,
episodes
yeah.
on the same day.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This is, I never thought that.
Thanks for watching.
Usually we have to wait 3 years in between
I'm
Star
here all
Wars
week.
content.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
No, welcome back to the Star Wars Guys podcast. As always, we are your hosts, Mike,
Hello there.
Nate. Hello there, and you know him well.
Pergil.
Space Whale.
Hello there,
Uncle.
Uncle.
The
Yeah.
space whale.
I'm the space whale.
He's Pergil.
I want to thank the Academy for my Golden Globe, my SAG Award for Space Whale.
Space whale.
Sorry, for the whale.
Brennan, no,
You're all in space. It's just whale. We just say whale.
The sequel to the whale, Space Whale.
That was
we're
the.
taking whales to space.
That was almost a Arrested Development of George Michael's talking to Michael. He's like, "That's right, I'm Mr. Manager." He's like, well, "Manager." We just say manager. He keeps saying like, "I'm Miss," because Michael says to him like,
Mr. Manager.
"Well, how about a promotion, Mr. Manager?" He's like, "I'm Mr. Manager." He's like, "Well, we just say manager."
Just managers.
immediately
Yeah, that's
shuts
what
him
I-
down.
So, man.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
We got some stuff to get to. We got.
Yes, we do.
What happened today?
Did you guys get any
Anything
sleep?
big?
What time did you
I
watch
did not
it?
get any sleep.
No, I got a little bit of sleep and then I woke back up.
And went for
Yeah,
Yeah, I
always
did
wake
too.
up
I got a
about
couple
15
hours.
minutes before. So for us, Central Time in America, it's
That was
2
Robert Downey
a.m.
Jr.
Two.
in America.
in all right, Shep. All right, Shep. Here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
All right.
For us,
So
Central
America does it. We stay up till 2 a.m. watch Star Wars and
That's how
Chappies.
Mando
Time,
does it.
Japanese. No,
Yeah,
it
pretty good so
it
far.
releases at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
or 2 a.m. It's actually a little before, and I've noticed that on in the past seasons.
Yeah, I watched it about
I woke up at
1:45.
About 1:45, and I looked up, and it wasn't quite there. Wasn't quite
I
open.
think like
and
150
I
it was
waited
up
a
there.
couple more minutes, and I was like, "Oh, it's live!" I immediately got
Same.
on, watched it.
See, I have all my kids, so
Yeah.
we're
Boo.
working around
I
schedules.
have
And
just the one kid.
I was up at that time, and I looked at it, and I saw the, ooh,
Yeah,
You saw what was
Apostate.
up.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
that's cool.
here we go.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch it. I waited.
Yeah,
That's
That
good.
was a long wait for me.
yeah. It's
Knowing
tough.
that it's out there
I know.
I
I was
know.
just waiting.
Well, for me, it's
for
like,
my family.
I go sit
be
at
back.
work all day. Like I'll go sit at work all day. If I don't watch it before, it's like
Oh.
I can't. They're during lunch break, nothing. I can't check Twitter. I can't do anything because I know as soon
Yeah.
as I'm gonna see it. So it's
Yeah.
like I have to get up at some time and watch it, or else the whole day. it's
Last
like
season,
it's
we did
spoiled.
Mando Mornings last time.
We did do Mando
Yeah.
We
mornings.
could do that again, maybe.
We need to.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
need
maybe.
to. Mando mornings.
There is
Yeah.
nothing worse than getting something spoiled Star Wars related to you. Quick little story time. I know where I'm going off. This is the earliest Arrested Development reference I ever had. Earliest in the episode, and then now this is my earliest little story. But for The Force Awakens, one of my best
This
friends.
is a good one.
My former best friend.
Oh, yeah.
I will say
Yeah.
this. Ryan, if you're watching, my former best friend.
Should we tell them
Because
spoiler
he
alert?
was best
for
friend
the,
until this. But yeah, spoiler if anyone has not seen The Force Awakens. Also, if you're watching our Star Wars show and you haven't watched The Force Awakens, good on you. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah,
I
really.
don't know if you stuck around for the space whales. Maybe that's what you're in.
Oh. Yeah.
But I'm sitting down at a premiere on the opening night, watch Force Awakens, and I knew that my friend had gone to the movies early. He went to like that earliest 7:00 showing, and I had something going on and I couldn't go till like 10. And so I was immediately worried because my friend had spoiled other
can't
things
trust
for me.
him. You
So
can't trust
I
him.
preemptively sent him a message. Bad on me.
Huge mistake.
Yep, shouldn't even have engaged. I should turn my phone off until
Right.
the movie was over. But I sat down in the theater, was there 15 minutes early, and I said, I know you have already seen. I sent him a message. Hey, I know you're probably getting out of the theater. You've already seen this. Please, I beg you, tell me nothing about this movie. I don't want anything spoiled. I'm so excited for this. I know you've seen it. Please don't spoil anything. He responds immediately, and I was like, oh, gosh. And he responded and said, don't worry. I won't spoil. I won't tell you anything about the movie. I'm like, oh, great. I put my phone down, and then it buzzes again, and it says, except Han Solo dies. And I responded and said, for your sake, you better be joking. That's what I said. I was a threat. I threatened him.
I threatened him.
And guess what? I'm proud of it. No, don't threaten, kid. But unless they're telling you Han Solo dies, we don't want to know that. So I said, for your sake, you better be joking.
I remember
I'm
that.
watching it. He gets out. He walks out on the catwalk, and I'm looking at my phone, going, I'm like, he's going down. I mean,
At his funeral. I remember you shared that story.
at his funeral.
Yeah.
At his not Han's funeral.
No.
No,
At,
right.
Yes.
At the Berkeley, yeah.
Which
Yeah.
coincidentally was very close after I walked out of that movie. No.
This
Ryan's
is a
alive and
confession.
well.
Yeah, he's
And he's done a horrible thing, but that's what humans do. And you live and you learn from it.
you
Yeah.
So let's talk about Mando.
Mando.
It's great.
Yeah, no, Mando spoilers.
I'm extra
so,
excited tonight.
especially on Twitter, you just can't avoid it. There's just people want to talk about it. They want to post a picture, and even if you put, I've done it before too. Even if you put Mandalorian spoiler, bunch of
Right.
lines so that people see that first, they know. It's like, okay, well, you post a picture with it. Well, now
Yeah.
I saw that. So
exactly.
It's just inevitable. I've just for my own
Yeah,
sake
just
and
stay
for
off.
anybody
Yeah.
listening, if you haven't seen something, just avoid it. It's just on you. Like I know if I'm going on somewhere, if I'm going on social media or anywhere, you're gonna see spoilers. So
For
Yeah.
sure.
I don't go on there.
That's smart.
yeah.
I mean,
It's smart.
Michael Cera, by the way, he's not on social media. Michael Cera doesn't even have a smartphone. I heard. You know
I heard
that?
that too,
Wow.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
So
That's
there you
pretty
go.
smart
Mr.
of
Manager.
him. Mr.
Interesting.
Manager.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Oh,
we got
boy.
not just some Mando talk. We got a little Bad Batch talk too.
We got a lot of bad bads.
Yeah.
We got a
Yeah.
lot to do. So let's just start as we always do. First of all, we have to start with Mando. We'll do Mando and then we'll do Bad
Yeah,
Batch. And then
What did you watch first?
I watched Mandalorian.
Mando, yeah.
Mando.
Yes. I
What did you watch second?
Mando again.
Wizard of Oz.
I'll get you, my Omega.
Gone with the Wind.
A little
No.
droid, too.
Gone with the Wind. Tell you a second. I watched
Yeah.
Bad Batch second.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Bad Batch. Okay,
Batch.
we will. I'll save all my
Yeah.
comments
Bad
to
Batch was
to
so
later
good,
'cause
but
was
we'll
awesome.
save it.
It was
We'll save
awesome.
it.
We always like to start with just what our overall reactions were. This is the first episode of The Mandalorian Season 3. Nate, Uncle, either one of you would like to start us off. Overall, like it, love it, want some more of it, struggle with it. Can't think of anything else to say.
Yeah. No, that was good.
I was going to think of another play on words. Struggle with it?
I
Want to juggle with it?
Juggle with
Juggle
it. That's
with
what I was
it.
looking
That was
for.
good. I
Get into some trouble with it?
Overall,
Ooh.
loved it. I loved it. I didn't know what to expect. One thing I really liked is that it seems like we got 80 to 90% of the trailer footage that we've seen all in this first episode.
Mhm.
It was a lot.
That was a
lot of it.
prediction.
Yeah.
It was a Mando maybe.
It was.
Mando
There's
mandatory.
a couple things I think
Uh-huh.
maybe we didn't get.
Didn't get
which we
Grogu
thought-
using the Force
yeah.
on the creature
We
flying
thought
out of
some
the
of that
cave.
might trickle on later into a couple episodes, but most of the stuff
Yeah.
we saw, they really milked this episode to use it for the trailer. And I like that because I've got no idea where any of this is going.
Yeah.
And we'll dive into it. But overall, loved it. Liked it, loved it, and I want some more of it.
Definitely want more of it. The pace was fantastic.
Yeah.
Surprising.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I think, even on the other, it was to me one of the most cinematic episodes.
Gosh,
Yeah.
it looked
The camera, the
incredible.
camera looks like it's nice. It looks nicer. It looks bigger.
It does.
The
It
soundtrack
does.
was more It was more orchestral. It sounded bigger.
Yeah.
We still had the Mando theme in there a few times.
Yeah.
But holy cow, we had 3 different planets. We had a prehistoric
Yeah.
Yes.
dinosaur. We had a
And what a-
shootout.
Yeah.
We had
It was-
a space battle with pirates.
Pirates?
There's so much.
We
that
got to
happened.
go to the Mandalore system. Like, oh my goodness, it was amazing.
We got Apollo
It was
Creed.
fantastic.
We did.
Grief Karga. No, I'm with you guys.
We got Babu's family. I mean,
Babu's
what?
family.
what are the Anzalins or
Yeah, the
Singing
Anzellans.
Anzellians?
all tucked in underneath.
hilarious.
I
I'm
had
just like, how'd you get in there?
And the comedy.
if I
That's
had
using your head. It felt like Star Wars. It
did.
felt
It
like old
really
Star
did.
Wars.
It did.
And what's his name? Gorian. What's his name?
the Pirate King
That,
Gorian
that
Shard.
that character. It feels. It
It's
felt like
great.
old
The
Star
plant.
Wars.
it did.
It felt like Return of the Jedi Star
did.
Wars.
It
It, was
really did.
just
It did.
I'm with you. I thought that
fantastic. Loved it.
I
It
saw
is one
someone
of those-
post that guy, the pirate. What's his name?
Davy Jones.
David Jones. Yes.
Someone on Twitter.
Yeah, his
posted
name is
next to
Gorian Shard.
Gorian
Gorian
Shard.
Shard.
Pirate King Gorian Shard.
Pirate
Pirate
King.
King.
Gorian Shard.
nothing
the
against you.
plant, Pirate King.
With his
I
seaweed.
saw someone post a picture of him next to Luthen. and said these two exist in the same galaxy.
In the same
That's
galaxy.
great.
I'm like,
That
I
is Star
love
Wars.
the
I love it.
the comical,
I love it.
not perfectly polished nature of it. It felt like I was watching old Jabba. Like it just had that feeling to it. It was great.
It was that mystery of like A New Hope of like you watch it for the first time and who are these people? I
To
don't know.
me-
We got plant pirates showing up.
Yeah.
Who are they? I don't
And
know.
you
but
know
we're
it's not.
rolling with
You
it.
look at it and go, that's clearly not real.
No,
It's just
yeah.
not. It doesn't
No.
look right. But
There-
that's what made it so great to me. It just felt
There are a
so
number.
Star
Yeah.
Wars.
There are a
was
number
really
of
good.
things, so I loved it as well. It felt immediately like we were back into that feeling, that tone, that universe that we love. I do think of all the shows, what's interesting is there's been so many shows that have come out. It's hard for me to even like if I had to give a ranking in my head right now of the live action Star Wars shows. I know that when Obi-Wan came out, I said I think that's my favorite. Even though I'm a huge
Yeah.
Mando fan, I love
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
We all know what Andor did, and Andor was fantastic. One thing that I think I've come to realize, and a lot of, I'm sure you guys probably agree as well, I've heard other people say this, Mando feels like the perfect combination of all the ingredients to me that make Star Wars Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other shows, it doesn't mean it's better or worse, but I think why I like Mando and why it appeals to so many people too is that it's not so pinpoint on one particular thing. Like I think as much as I really like Book of Boba Fett and that's in the Mando verse, it definitely skewed to the goofy a little bit more
Yeah.
sometimes where there's always room for comedy in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But like some have felt like, oh, that was almost so jokey that I'm kind of taken out of a
Right.
little bit of, or like the type of things, or there's, or some shows, are so set in a specific time that you're like, I love everything about this, but I also know what came before, what came after.
It's confined
It
a
doesn't
little
minimize
bit.
the show at all, but there isn't necessarily always the sense of wonder of what is possible. I know what's possible.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that Obi-Wan and Vader, that neither of them are going to die in this battle because
Yeah.
I know what happens after.
Yeah.
Now, they still executed that, in my mind, like as well as I would have hoped.
Sure.
I thought it was
Mhm.
awesome. It was emotional. And Andor is, picks a different part of the Star Wars buffet and hones in and hits a, laser focused on one specific type of, and there's multiple things
Yeah.
there, but
A little more gritty.
a little more gritty, not much comedy, almost like the least amount of comedy,
Yeah.
least mystical, like least fantasy,
Yeah.
Right.
kind of real grounded,
Mhm.
in really
With like a good blaster at your side, kid. That's
Exactly.
basically what it is.
and
Yeah, yeah.
and they do it
Straight ahead.
great. And then you get Mando, which feels like, oh, what I love that in Obi-Wan we get some of the Force, we get some of the lightsabers, the mystical stuff with the Jedi. Andor, we get the seriousness of what's going on in the galaxy, what's going on in this, and it's not too jokey. It's got its serious tone. It feels like a little bit older. This feels like the perfect combination of all of those, but then also mixed in with it has a high budget. Like the show looks.
They
you can
ramped it up.
tell-
Season 3 is another
Yeah.
level.
Yeah, and I think you can tell that. Well, I think Andor had a huge budget also, and it's shot on location and looks
Andor was
unreal.
massive.
This feels like because there is this gap in the Star Wars, in the active current Star Wars things coming out of no films for the time
Yeah.
being for the last years. It does feel like Mando is the flagship because it is. It's what led off Disney
I
Plus.
think I read
Yeah.
they've spent $350 million or something.
It looks in this
Oh,
initial
yeah.
episode, this first episode, I watched it and I rewatched it later with my wife Abigail, and Abigail goes, "Holy cow, this looks unbelievable!" And she
Mhm.
just in the big gator thing coming out of the water,
Right.
she goes,
Yeah.
"That's not." I mean, she's like, "I know it's not real," but she's like, "I'm looking at that. I'm like, how does
It
that?
might be.
Spectacular.
How is that?"
Eli,
Yeah,
he
it's
said
practical.
that's a Sarcosuchus. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
prehistoric reptile, not a dinosaur. Prehistoric reptile.
Reptile.
yeah. Christopher
Yeah.
Nolan
Dude,
found
the
out a
same
way to
thing.
do that practical. He said, "We're getting a real beast. We're not doing it.
Exactly.
We're gonna do it." No, I long-winded, just opening remarks here, but I love so much the feel of it. The comedy. We were talking about the comedy. I like it because there even are some of the comedic bits that I'm like, yeah, is it the best joke I've ever heard? No, but that was so perfect Star
That's
Wars.
real.
Yeah,
that's
it's Star Wars
exactly
comedy.
what Han
That's a real
does.
skank in
Perfect.
the scud pie.
Han touching, Han tapping
Yeah.
I
C-3PO
love the
3
sayings.
times in a row in Return of the Jedi, and then also this. Was just, hurry it up, would you? Like,
Yeah.
that was funny to me as a kid, and as an adult, I was like, oh, that's not the funniest thing I've ever seen.
No.
But it wasn't for it.
If I saw that
Yeah.
in Mando, I'd go, "Hey,
Exactly.
I like
Yeah.
that." Right?
Yeah.
That was kind of the
That's
well,
using
use
your head.
Like, I'm like, oh, I see what you did there.
Shoot it, Mando! Shoot it!
Shoot it.
Yeah, I love that you can
was
find
so
those
good.
things
Man.
and point them
Using
out.
the Force to
Like,
grab the M&M.
to me,
little
it's
The spinning of the
evident
chair. It's
how-
Oh,
so
spinning.
good.
Oh yeah,
So great.
yeah. It just to me, it's just even more evidence how much like Filoni, Favreau, they just know Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
they get it.
Right.
They know to put these things in intentionally. That joke might be a little cheesy, but because that is Star Wars,
Yep.
it fits.
Yep.
So that put it in there intentionally, knowing that wouldn't be a joke in something else maybe, but in
Mm-mm.
this it fits because it's the Star Wars universe. It's kind of a homage to the original trilogy, the comedy style of Star
Perfect.
Wars. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
we saw Grief. It was like, how old are you? What happened?
Yeah, so some time passed.
Some time has
passed
passed.
in this from the last time we saw him to
Yeah.
Well,
now.
yeah,
Well, I mean, look at Navarro.
That's
look
what I
at the
was gonna
state of
say.
Navarro
Exactly.
right
Do
now.
we know exactly how much time?
There's some stuff.
okay,
I don't
let's
know. There's
just-
some
Been putting stuff
that-
out. People have been saying.
There were some things that came out in the last.
Favreau and Filoni were in an interview basically, right? And got asked.
Favreau was talking about how long Luke trained Grogu.
Yeah, I
was
think
one
it
of
was
the things.
actually
It was actually
they
how
were
long
talking
the-
about
The
how-
years had happened.
Yes, they were asking about the timeline of Mando. What's the timeline of Mando? And some of this is up for debate of whether this is the context of what Favreau actually meant or not, but
Or if he was just trying to get through a question.
or if he was just
like,
trying to So take this with a grain of salt, but this is what was said was basically that the first 2 seasons of Mando, so episode 1 to when Grogu goes off with Luke, actually spans multiple years. So he said Grogu was with Mando for multiple years, that time frame, which it's easy to forget that because we go from like one mission to the next mission
That's
to the
right.
next mission, but we don't know how long those are actually taking.
Yeah, you don't fly across the galaxy in a minute.
Yeah, so
Right.
so it may have come off across as like, oh, that was quick, but it kind of makes sense that it would be longer.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said once he left, from the time from the time Grogu left with Luke to the time he's then reunited with Mando in the Book of Boba Fett is
Mhm.
2 years. So he was
with Luke
away
for 2
from
years.
Mando and training with Luke for 2 years.
Wow.
Now, some people looked at the video and are saying, did he mean because he says we were away from Grogu? Does that mean that we as an audience, it's been 2 years since Mando's been
Yeah.
off?
True,
air?
like real world
So,
us.
was it real world or was that actually? We don't know exactly what he meant, but that's what people have
I
been
like
talking
that.
about this week.
I like 2 years.
I think it makes.
Grief's
more
older. They made
sense.
Grief
He's definitely older.
intentionally look older.
I think
Yeah.
it makes sense. I think it almost made because I've just rewatched all of Mando and Boba Fett
Yeah.
this past week.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard this, I was like, I actually like that even more because even though I didn't necessarily get that from watching it, that it was that long,
Mhm.
I did recognize there was a time jump because when we see Mando in the Book of Boba Fett, he's already back to doing bounty hunting and all this stuff,
Yeah.
and he's delivering
Yeah.
a job. It's not like he just left and immediately went and like
No,
he's already.
he-
it showed that
he's
some
doing
time has
stuff.
gone
Right,
by.
right.
Navarro's
Also, it
changed.
had taken a toll on him emotionally because they highlight. I was rewatching that episode again just yesterday. They highlight his brutality again. Like
Yeah.
during that, like when he comes into that
I
butcher
can
yeah.
bring
shop
you in
and
warm.
It's
I
not
can
the
bring
next
you-
day,
Yeah.
clearly.
he's like it's supposed to show that
He went back to his ways.
he's gotten cold without him.
Yeah.
And even Favreau said in a recent interview of like we've seen what Mando's like without Grogu and he's not doing too well. Like he said that's intentionally supposed to
Yeah.
be shown. Like that he's more violent than ever. Like he's kind of trying to find his way in the galaxy
Yeah.
again and feels like he's missing him. And it's
Yeah.
not until that Book of Boba Fett, when he's reunited
Right.
that he kind of
Right.
regains the humanity and compassion a little bit
Yeah.
of what he had lost.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think they're trying to now with showing Navarro's transformation, how much it's grown. It's kind of showing another bit of a time jump
Mm-hmm.
there. I'm not sure exactly how long it's been since we saw them in Book of Boba Fett to now, because we didn't see Navarro really around
Yeah.
that time. But yeah,
So
I don't
years.
know, but it sounds like it's been a handful. If I had to guess, it's probably been maybe 5 to 6 or 7 years since the first episode of Mando.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm just throwing it out there, but it's around. That's kind of like what I'm envisioning based off the stuff that they're saying.
I like that.
But no, I like it because I was rewatching those episodes, and you see when he finally reveals his helmet to him. I'm thinking about this timeline, and I'm like, this just makes this scene that much better, knowing that Grogu wasn't just with him, and he was protecting him for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
He's been with him for multiple years, as
That's
they
right.
say. That could be, I don't know, 2-3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and he's never seen essentially his father's face
Right.
ever. And he reveals his face right before he lets him go
Leave him-
to leave
yeah.
for another 2 to leave
Well,
for
forever,
2
he
years.
thinks.
Well, yeah, he thinks forever.
Yeah.
But we find out it's 2 years before he comes back, which makes sense why I'm Boba Fett. He shows up and he's so surprised, obviously, that he's there. But then Grogu just like force jumps into his arms and is just
Right.
like
And
hugging
his-
him in the midst of a battle.
And I think it's well reflected in this episode. I feel like their relationship in this episode is stronger than it has
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
before too. Like he's much quicker into being the parenting role kind of figure. He's literally sitting on his lap and showing him the
Yeah.
controls and
Right.
showing him this, and they start fighting, and he almost like buckles him in to like
Yeah.
he gets underneath the. So
It's
I think it all
amazing that
makes
this
sense.
all started with episode 4. And the time between when Luke met Obi-Wan to when he died
Yes.
was like 27 minutes.
Yep.
Like total. It wasn't that long.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's really gone.
Yeah, he's
I
really
know.
You
gone.
just met him.
You
an
just
hour
met him. I
ago.
lost my planet.
My whole planet blew up, and I'm comforting you.
Yeah.
And you'll find out many years from now that I knew him a lot longer than you did.
Yeah, right.
Watch the Disney Plus show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm
no,
But no, I
so-
like it because
I think it's
also
better that way.
throughout all of Mando, season 1 and season 2, we had multiple characters talking about how I see the attachment that you two have together. Ahsoka
Mhm.
says it multiple times. Like the bond you two have is
Yeah.
special. She even comes back and says he looks at you as a father.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes way more sense knowing that it wasn't just like 6 months
Yeah.
or a few months that they were together. Of course, they're going to have a stronger attachment. If
Yeah.
it's been
When you
half a
talk
year.
about it's amazing how big of a hit. How
This guy's
big
got
of a
notes.
grand? I do have some notes.
Wow, I'm
How
anxious
big
to
of a
hear.
grand slam, the show, The Mandalorian, has been for Disney Plus, for Star Wars, and that they bet it all similar to what they did in Empire Strikes Back with
Mhm.
Yoda. They bet it all on a Muppet. Like they literally were
Yeah.
like, we don't have Boba Fett because at the time it was like you're not allowed to do that,
Yep.
John.
Right.
Later we'll let you do it, but now you can't do it.
I love that they said you can't do that, but we'll give you a Yoda species.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
And then they're like, you can't
have
do
Boba
that.
Fett.
Well, you
But-
can't
You can
touch
use a
Boba
Yoda,
Fett.
a Yoda
You can
baby.
touch
But you can do
way
something
more
else, and then you
mysterious.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, way more.
But the
mystical.
fact that you're watching like in this episode, and there's like fighting, and all of a sudden he tosses Grogu to Grief, and Grief catches him. You're like, the high stakes of the galaxy, pirates, all this stuff, and what we're watching on screen, and we're so invested in, is them throwing Kermit the Frog to literally, they're literally tossing him up, and we're like, oh, and the way that
Yeah.
they've handled everything with Grogu is, I do think that Favreau and
It's
Filoni
genius.
know the perfect amount of the cute. How about like him hugging the Anzellan when he's and he's
Yeah.
no
Bad baby. Bad
Bad
baby.
baby,
Bad
bad
Yeah.
baby.
and he literally is like,
Right.
no, it's not a pet.
It's not a
He's
pet.
got to put it out.
It's not a pet.
Bad baby.
Yeah.
It's broken. It's broke.
Yeah.
It's broke.
broke.
So
Poodle.
good.
But I do have some notes.
Ay, baboop.
I do have some
Baboop.
notes
Yeah,
about
baboop,
what
baboop,
they.
hey.
I
Yeah,
like
go
any
ahead,
good
okay.
Star Wars fan in 2023 have some notes about what should have happened.
Oh yes.
And here's no, I'm just kidding.
Let's
no,
change the show. Let's change the show.
Not my
Mando.
Grogu.
Not mine.
Oh,
Whoa.
Whoa.
fight. No, I've got a couple of.
Is that how it works?
I wrote down some, just a few of the kind of keys of things that happened, just that I wanted to discuss. One, was anyone else pulled in at the very beginning and thought that was a flashback?
Yes.
Right? They
Thought
did
for
that.
sure it was young-
They
I thought it
did
was
that.
young
It was
Dan. I thought it was
such a
Dan.
good. I think everybody that I've
Yeah.
seen has
That's
talked
great.
about it and said
At
that they all
first, I
fell for
did.
that. I did too.
Just because they were somewhere else. That's another indicator for
They
time
were somewhere-
passing.
Right.
Is that
They've moved everything.
They've moved.
And there was a
They've
lot
moved
of
again.
them,
They're not where we saw them in Boba
Mhm.
Fett.
and they've regrouped.
They've got
In
more.
there's a lot
Book
of
of
them,
Boba
yeah.
Fett, they say there's 3 of us.
Yeah.
That's what they said when they met on
And they're
the
looking
the
for
ring.
searching for more foundlings.
And they got
And
several
now
more foundlings. Yeah.
They got
Yeah.
a lot, yeah. And then they had
thought
him.
it
I was like,
was,
"Oh, is this
man.
Din?" And then they fool us when he comes around in the N1 and blast.
Yeah.
I loved all the colors,
beast
and there was
stuff.
a Boba Fett colored.
Yeah.
It
there
was, yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
I loved it. We got so just a few kind of quick things I wrote on here that I thought was interesting. You already mentioned the Purgils, the space whales.
Yep.
Space whales.
A
Did you
good
guys know that
nod-
if you pause it and zoomed in, you could actually see Ezra riding?
That's
Oh,
right.
but
I remember that.
He
That
just
right there
lassoed one.
is
just
not
riding
just a throwaway. That's a nod to Thrawn and Ezra being out there.
Yes.
In the connection
Yeah.
that this
Something's
is going to have
coming.
to that.
I
We're gonna
told you
connect
this is
up.
happening. It's
I really
it's not
think so.
happening in Ahsoka. I'm telling you, it's happening in Mando.
It's going to start
Everything
here.
revolves around the Mandalorian
It's
show.
going to start here and go out.
Think about
They
everything.
they
think
showed
about
us there
everything
in
that
the
was
first
introduced.
episode. That little tease was not like, "Oh, do you remember this?" It was like, "Oh, if you do know this, you also know." I mean, they've already said Grand Admiral Thrawn in
Yeah.
the previous season, so we already
Right.
know he's connected.
So
to
they
this whole
already
thing.
name dropped Thrawn in Mandalorian. They've got the Book of Boba Fett show. When was he introduced? In Mando. They've got Ahsoka show, live action show coming.
Yeah.
Where was live action Ahsoka introduced? Mando.
Well, we also today, for the first time, as far as I remember, in Bad Batch, they mentioned something called the asset,
yeah.
The asset, yeah.
which is connected to cloning. I was like,
Mhm.
what?
Yeah.
Is Grogu? Do they have Grogu? What is this? Is Grogu in Bad Batch the asset? What?
Yeah.
It was that creature connected to cloning, and that we first
What's
heard the
funny is
asset.
when-
I think first time
Yeah.
I remember hearing that was in Mando.
Yeah.
When we get to
It
our
was that
Bad
creature,
Batch
but-
stuff, and we'll talk about Bad
I
Batch.
love the ties between.
I will say this
cool.
this came back to feeling like these shows are tied again, which it
Yeah.
hasn't. I mean, again, Mando just came back,
Omega is key.
but we'll get to all that stuff.
Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, the parallels there. There's a reason why these two are on at the same time. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a few of the kind of big things. Din talks to the armor about atoning for his sins and talks about Mandalore truly being poisoned. And it's interesting because they talk about that again later at the end with Bo-Katan. And he's in Bo-Katan's lounging. And I also wonder, like, she was sitting like that before he came in there. She just like
She's just
always
asleep.
sitting like that. She's just-
Don't you do anything? Is this all
I've
you
always
do?
wondered that about thrones.
Fetch me my grapes.
yeah.
I've always wondered that about thrones. How often are people actually just sitting in them?
How uncomfortable is that thing?
It's miserable.
This is more
Terrible.
comfortable than that stone
Yeah.
room.
She goes, "Fetch me my grapes." Oh, they're. I forgot they're mercenaries across the galaxy because I don't have a dark saber. I don't have a dark saber.
If only I could wave that thing around to make them all listen to
The
me.
way she said that,
That's so
wave it around.
great.
You lead them, and Uncle's like, "Yes,
Here we go.
Lead.
He is the king of Mandalore.
I saw.
He
I saw
doesn't
people-
want it, and that's why he deserves it."
The waving.
Excalibur.
Excalibur. I saw the waving thing. People were referencing Maul because when Maul got it, he
Oh.
put
Waved
it
it
in
around,
the air
yeah.
and
Waved
waved
it
it
around.
around and was
Yeah.
showing off that he had it, and half of them bent the knee.
I think she's bitter. I don't know.
I'd
Yeah.
say she's.
I think she's Bo-Katan.
we get to
Bitterbow. Bitterbow.
get to
That's a Trump nickname. Bitterbow.
Bitterbow.
Gotta be.
You look at her.
Bitterbow. I've seen
That I could promise you.
Listen, they call her. Frankly, I hear they call her
Bitterbow.
Bitterbow. That's what they're saying. That they
Look at my Mandalorian over there. Isn't he wonderful?
Isn't he the greatest? Isn't my Mandalorian?
Bitterbow.
Bitterbow.
Bitterbow. That is
She runs down the
Trump
hall.
nickname.
Pitter pat for Bitterbow. Like, what are you talking about? Pitter pat. Okay, we've gone off the rails.
Oh man.
So new look Navarro. Navarro is looking nice.
I know.
Greenery. They actually have.
Yeah.
You got healthy quacky monkey lizards
I
just hanging
know.
up in the trees.
They
I
could
know.
totally duplicate that in Disney.
They need
It would
to
look
now.
just like it. That'd be great to have a Navarro.
Is
Because
Salacious B. Crumb
Batu,
coming back? yet?
Navarro.
Navarro
Holy-
was rough
Uh,
before.
yeah.
Navarro was nothing
bad.
but it was just
Molten.
sand and streets
It
and
was
just stone.
lava.
Yeah. Navarro was that's where the shootout was. Where they
Yeah.
had the shootout.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh they had lava
Yeah.
off to the side.
The
yeah,
lava
yeah.
where
With
it
the
was
lava
a- it
fountain.
was
Yeah,
just
that's
a
where
mess.
that's where IG
where
11.
IG,
Yeah. But like the main streets even it was like there was no trees. There was
I know.
it's
Yeah,
just
it was
shootouts.
it's just
Yeah.
the client
Yeah,
looking
dirty
around.
and muddy and
Remember the client?
Yeah, it's
It's
also
been a while
showing a
since
little
I
bit
saw-
of
I mean,
like
he's
the
dead, but-
difference. It's not just them becoming. I mean, I think it's both. them becoming more wealthy through trade and operating independently, like Grief Karga's saying, but also just showing the Star Wars always had a color with the Empire and when they're not around.
Yeah.
So seeing the greenery,
The dark
seeing
and the gray.
life forming now,
Yeah.
and the village actually, the city becoming alive with nature and things like that. It's also showing it's just more of the Empire's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Empire's gone.
They're not involved. Whenever the Empire's around, it's gray overtones. It's
Yeah.
Grief embracing change.
Yeah.
He's trying to get Mando. Even he's like, listen, you could live off the fat of the land. Live off the fat of the land. I
speaking
love
of that, he needs a marshal.
He talked about.
He does.
So I
Cobb
want.
Vanth?
God Vanth.
I think he might be going to get. Well, I think that he might be going back to Peli.
That's
I
the
think he might be
tie
going back
to
to
get them
Peli. I
back
think he might be
to-
going back to Pelimoto to get a part that he needs.
Yeah.
Because he said I need a part.
Yeah.
What if I get the part? And then while he's there, Marshall. Get him out of the back to tank. He's been there for like 3 years now.
Take
He
him
gets
back.
out. It's over.
That'd be awesome.
I want to say something that might be a little controversial.
Say it.
Ooh.
I want you to say it.
No, I
too.
don't think it will be. They mentioned it was interesting that they mentioned. Well, what about did you say Marshall Dune or Cara Dune?
Yeah.
But they call her Marshall. What did he say?
Call her Cara Dune.
Did he call her Cara Dune
Marshal.
in this Marshall Dune? Something like that.
I think I heard Cara. I
I
think.
think
And-
maybe.
Oh no, he said Dune.
And he said
Dune. I don't remember.
she was brought in
Trooper
after
or-
she brought in Moff Gideon. She was recruited by Special Forces. The only thing I wanted to say is this is not to pile on, or I know there's a lot of real world feelings about the whole Cara Dune thing. That's a long time ago. I kind of thought this the first time I was watching the show, but even upon rewatch, this is not to be mean. She was never one of my favorite characters.
I kind of
actually
agree.
always kind
Yeah.
of felt like she was one of the weaker actors on it, and it could have been just direction of lines and stuff like that too. But actually, her feeling and like some of her lines, I thought actually were the ones that stuck out. That I felt like, oh, that kind of changes the tone a little bit, or didn't feel.
I
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm
noticed-
saying? Like, there
I
was
noticed
something about
she
that a little
had,
bit more.
And again, if this is
Great.
in real life, if
That's a
this
real
is-
skank in the scud pie.
That's what I was
and
gonna
like,
say. If-
like
in
there was
real
like
life,
4 of
if
those
that's
lines.
you,
Again,
if
that's
that's actually
writing,
your-
but
if that's your personality,
Yep.
you would say stuff like that a lot,
Right.
right? I would assume, like, if that's someone's personality and they say things like that, they would probably say it frequently. But I definitely felt like a lot of those lines were like you're saying, that's a real skank in the.
yeah, I
pie.
watched that exact scene again
I
yesterday.
watched it too. I
because
thought,
the reason that stands out is
interesting.
there was like because they're talking about fighting the Dark Troopers and their plan for this is
Their guns
last.
jammed.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, "Those Dark Troopers gonna be a real skank in the scud pie," and I'm like, I get the Star
You're
Wars
supposed to be
lingo.
scared.
I get the Star Wars lingo. You
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
and again, she's not improving that.
That was
That's-
written.
That's written.
Yeah.
So
Right.
this is not again. Take this however you will, but I think part of that is I didn't think necessarily the writing for that character always felt like they were trying to figure out. And again, obviously, they mentioned her in the show, and that was kind of a way that they mentioned her with kind of saying, "Hey, she's not going to be here anymore."
And this tell you
Which we
something.
knew,
They
but-
put her in the same sense with Moff Gideon. So, Giancarlo, are we done?
Well, what's interesting is
I mean, was he just the stepping
but
stone? to get-
he's in a Republic.
he said he was doing something in this, right? Wasn't he say something
I
about?
thought he
So they
did.
get locked in a cell.
They said he's in a New Republic tribunal or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. But
yeah.
I think that he'll be.
He'll be saved from
I
someone.
think he'll be back. But also, if he's not, I think they could be that we're graduating to Thrawn.
Yeah,
Meaning,
I think so.
I don't
too.
think
There's
that
a
there's not
big-
going to be
there's
a
a
big
big
bad. There's a big bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
The first bad guy introduced is never the one pulling all the strings.
no.
Even if they show
Sometimes-
Thrawn, it's not him pulling the strings.
Just
it's
like
the
Vader.
Emperor. Yeah.
That's true.
The one behind it.
Yeah,
no,
so
I
it's-
do think
I just
we're
thought
heading
that's-
that way.
But yeah, I like that he's Karga's the High Magistrate. And I like that he's
Magistrate.
like,
The high.
Hi, Magistrate to you. And then later,
Apologies.
Magistrate.
We're hearing that more.
I know.
Apologies.
Did anyone? I know
Apologies.
that all three of us immediately.
They're
thought,
all getting the-
apologies. I thought apologies.
Apologies. That's the way. This is the way.
Apologies.
Apologies.
But yeah, I wrote down a number of quotes from this.
Why is it
For the record,
I actually like
skank in the
that
scud pie. I like that phrase. I like that phrase
I think it's just the timing
because
of this
it's
what got me.
a.
It's not that it didn't feel. Star
We didn't hear
Wars.
poodoo. It was a skank in
Yeah,
the scud.
yeah.
I like it because
I like
Peli used it one time too.
I like it.
Yeah, she did.
The only
That's
and
funny.
it wasn't
That's
Maybe
until
it was
Skank in
the
the scumbag.
delivery.
it
Yeah.
wasn't it was
Yeah.
it was the delivery, and it was upon rewatch that I noticed that she had already, I believe, in the same episode already had 2 other lines just like it. Different
Yeah.
words, but it was like, that's gonna be a real flounder in the flickle. I was like, well, okay,
That's a
we
tink
get
in the
thing.
tank plate. Wait.
Tink in the It really was like
You're
It really
making
was.
those up.
No, I know
I'm
what you're
not.
talking about because I just
she had multiple of those.
I just watched that episode and by the time
and that
I
was
got
the
to that
third
one, too,
one.
I thought that was a
that
lot.
for some reason the third one that I was like, oh, that one felt like, oh, now I feel like we're overdoing it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, similar.
That's all right.
Again, similar to how I felt. This is not me attacking any individual one person. This is similar to how I felt about not the first Filoni episode of Mando, because the first Filoni episode of Mando was the premiere. And
Yeah.
it was great. But his second one, where we had the young bounty hunter, Nate, the young wannabe bounty hunter, we introduced Fennec Shan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good episode, or at least there's a lot of good stuff that happens. But it was one over the head like hitting you in the head with reference.
Right.
That even I was like, oh, we're here. Now he's the high ground. Now he's
got
got the high ground.
We'll
I
wait
was
it
like,
out.
There you go.
every little bit of, oh, he's got his feet up on Han Solo's thing, and I immediately was like, oh, it's Han Solo's thing. Boom. And then it's like, oh, now we got this other reference here. Now we got here. Oh, she's got the high ground. I was like, Dave, cool it. Dave,
that was
you.
Filoni.
Dave.
That was Filoni
Easy,
getting too excited with his
easy,
live
Dave.
action.
Hey, you've
Dave.
turned off your
Easy,
targeting
Dave.
computer.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
We got C in the chat that says, trust the process. Soon 1 million subs. Hey, I'll take it. Let's
Hey,
go.
I like
Welcome. Hello
Trust
there.
the process.
Uh,
1 million subs for who? What account are you talking about?
Ooh, nice.
One of the things I wanted to ask you guys, too, is what were your thoughts on IG-11
Oh,
possibly
man.
coming back?
What a surprise, too. I love that
You
scene
can't
that
kill
he
this
looked
thing.
at it, and he looked at IG-11. He's like, hey, do you recognize your old friend? And then they come back, and they're talking there, and just points. I want him back. And I immediately went, what?
Yeah.
Are we
Right.
gonna-
I know.
And then we got
My first thought was, if that was possible, why don't we do this sooner?
Yeah, I
That was
mean-
actually that was actually possible.
I also remember how he defeated him the first time. One blaster to the head.
yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was like, Terminator this time. Can't kill him. He's going through
You
glass.
mentioned
He's going through
Terminator. It was
walls.
actually
I know.
so. Abigail and I this past
And
week
look, that
watched
makes me
the
think of it.
original Terminator,
Oh, you did?
and we have a list I got for my birthday. I think it's for my birthday. Maybe it's for Christmas. Some event.
For
I
something.
got Abigail's mom and dad gave me a movie poster, and it's like I don't know if it's IMDb or something, but it was like some of the top 100 is the top 100 movies of all time.
Oh, man. That's all. You're just
And,
going down the list.
And some of them are, I think, not top as if like, oh, I think this beats this. But like, all some of them are
Just-
influential. Like Terminator was on
Wizard
there.
of
It's like,
Oz
it's a
is
big
on there.
Wizard of Oz on there.
Yeah.
So that's how you know it's a bad list. No. So we watched Terminator, and immediately when we're watching this, we both go, oh, Terminator, because it's
Exactly.
at the end.
Yeah.
He's lost the limbs, and he's
Falling.
the skin, like the silicone stuff's gone.
Still
And
coming.
it's just the metal, and it's zombie.
Exactly.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what
Won't
that was
stop.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
that's
Also,
cool.
the way they do that stop motion, or however they're doing, like with IG-11, where they intentionally try to make it look how it did in
Yes.
Empire. Like
Yeah.
they don't try to make him look like C-3PO. It's
No.
not supposed to.
No, he's very like,
It's like the marionette / stop
jaggedy,
motion
like-
slash.
Yeah.
It's the way they do it. I think
That's
they just
great.
have done it from the beginning very well.
yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I like that. We got like one word. We got like one sentence from Taika. Protocol. That's a protocol. Must
Right.
eliminate asset. I was like, is
I
Taika
know.
gonna be back?
Hey,
And
red.
then,
And then white,
know.
white,
Take
red. Look out! It's red.
It's
red.
Look out! He's loose.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's coming back.
I think so. Yeah, he's coming back.
I saw someone online, I don't remember who it was, said, what if he needs a part? There is IG-88 out there. That what if Mando has some dealings with IG-88 and actually has
man.
to kill IG-88? He was a bounty hunter. Or like it comes across. Now again, this is far fetched, but he's like, and
Wow.
actually he takes his parts and and creates IG-11.
First Boba Fett, and now
IG-11.
IG-88.
And he kills IG-88.
They said no to both Boba and IG-88, and
Now they said you get
we'll
it
do
all.
Mando and IG-11. Now they got both back.
No, you get both. You get both back, and we're gonna have.
I think he's
got to
go to Pelly for that.
I think going to
He's got
Pelly,
a
and
lot
I
of
think that
sense.
might lead to a little Cobb Vanth.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although Cobb Vanth would then not be marshal of his town, and there's people are kind of done for, right?
yeah, I wonder.
Because he
what's
killed
gonna
his number
happen there.
2. Remember, his number 2 is the guy who's like, go inside.
He was supposed to take over.
Cobb Vanth. And he shoots the other guy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I
We'll
don't know.
see.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Man,
There's so much. I've written a lot of stuff down. If we want to,
the pirate's trying to take over.
the pirates.
That was
Let's
awesome.
talk about the pirates.
I loved it.
Loved it.
The
It's fun.
We got to see the
they were great.
N1 Starfighter in some action.
That was some of the best space battle. That was in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, it was
of any of the
fantastic.
shows
Yeah.
we've gotten. It might have been the best dog fighting. Even that last the shot where he's hiding behind the asteroid, boom, an explosion, and then they're
You're like,
looking, they
oh.
can't find him, and then it comes down.
It's
there's
like
three-
Jaws. Like,
and then there's
where is
3
it?
left.
It was.
And they have
Yeah,
the perfect
it's
shot
coming.
of there's 3 out there in front, and his raises up.
Yes.
And immediately I was like, that's a cool,
Yeah.
cool shot. And then leads us right to Pirate King.
I also love that while he's doing that dogfight, he's still just like not worried and is teaching Grogu how to fly the whole time.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
teaching him about how they're
And
how he's
Grogu's
flying,
giggling.
what to do, what the
No,
things
right,
are. Then they
right.
come up, and even while they're battling, he's still like talking to him about how to do
Did
it.
you
Like,
think
he's
for a
not worried.
second when they said pirates, I was waiting for, hello, boys.
I know, Hondo.
Ando.
He would be a little bit younger then, but
This is Ezra Bridger,
Or,
Jabba the Hutt.
Or the
I thought he's going to turn around. It's going to be Hondo.
deal with Conja Club. Tell that to Conja Club.
We should have
Tell that to
Conja Club.
Conja Club.
Conja Club.
Kill that the Conja Club.
Yeah.
I need. What was the second?
What was the second? What was the second? What was the other one?
Yeah. Oh gosh. So good. No, I loved.
Yeah.
How
So
about?
good.
So do we think we're seeing what's his name again? I think that. Do we think that's the
IG-11.
last we see of Pirate King?
No, I don't. I think
Gorian
we'll,
Shard.
I
I think that we might be.
I thought maybe, but maybe not.
Might be.
I thought he
yeah,
served the
that's true.
purpose.
I guess I thought maybe
He might be out there. I don't know. He might be
Yeah.
a skank in the scud pie at some
Skank in
point.
the Scud. This might be a great
A
line.
tink in
That's
the
our
time-
new favorite, by the way.
A what?
Because I feel like we're using it appropriately. Skank in the scud pie. We have good sensibilities about.
It's a real. I didn't
We-
like
we
the
use
whole.
it. Yeah.
I didn't like the whole. It's jammed. I didn't like that at all.
No.
that
yeah.
bugged me.
Yeah.
I got it.
I-
Conveniently, as soon as
that's-
you're done, I got it. I got to
Yeah.
hit
and
him
it was-
with my
and it was-
rifle.
Yeah, and it was like, oh.
Bo's like, wait,
That'll
mine,
do
mine
it.
still
I
works.
was
Get
like,
out of
all
the.
right.
Oh,
That
God.
do it right as the elevator opens.
That I'll do it. And then just, I'm like, okay.
Wait,
Oh
all
my
of
God.
ours
Kinda
still
wanted to go,
work.
it's
You don't need
jammed,
to.
Door opens. So it's just boom.
Darn
I
it.
also do think it's funny too. I don't know, we're just piling on, but I also thought it was,
Pile on.
I thought it was
Pile
funny how
Pile
and
on.
how intentional. Obviously, they were trying to make her character like this brute, fighting,
Yeah.
kind of
Right.
showing off her actual real life ability
Yeah.
of,
Right.
of
Martial
fighting.
arts, yeah.
Yeah. That in that scene they get she's destroying everybody with the gun. It jams again. And then she just starts
Hitting everybody.
swinging
Right.
it. Just starts going mad, swinging.
The others are like, ours still work. We can. Oh, all right.
We
go
go.
ahead.
Okay, we
No,
don't
you're
have
doing
to-
fine. You're
we
doing
do have
fine.
armor.
Keep
She's
going.
got it. Everyone else hold.
Jake
Yeah.
Paul's
She's got
over
it.
there. Keep going. Get,
Jake Paul.
get to the
Paul.
end. He's waiting for you.
Jake
Please
Paul versus-
finish him off.
Cara Dune and Jake Paul at the very end, and all of a
Hey,
sudden
I would
you have
put-
Master Assassin Fennec Shand in the background. Like, really? What do we? And you have
What's
two other
going on?
Mandalorians
Jake Paul
with
left to die in the
jetpacks. They're
sands
like,
of
what are we
Tatooine.
doing here?
Yeah.
That's great. Sands of Tatooine. Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
But yeah, I do think so. All right, so let's just talk a couple. Now that we've seen the first episode, maybe go through a couple Mando maybes.
Mando Maybes.
Oh, and we go to Kalevala? The
Kavala?
Mandalorian planet?
Yeah.
Kalevala?
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just had written that down because I thought that looked cool and seeing a Mandalorian castle. I know
Yeah, it
we
was
talked
sweet.
about Bo, but actually that was another thing that I went,
It was a sect
ooh, that
off
looks.
Of,
You know what you don't
Mandalore.
see
Looks
much in
cool.
Star Wars? Television. They don't have any.
No,
What do they do
just
for
big
They have
entertainment?
the HoloNet.
Well,
That's
a
all.
bunch of big open throne rooms
With all the
nothing
tech,
in
they don't
them.
have any, like, they got Sabak and Sabak.
Well, it was a long
mean,
time ago in a galaxy
Yeah.
far, far away. They were advanced in some things, and they were way behind on tech.
You would
on,
think with the ships and the
television.
tech,
Yeah.
they could have big.
I'm
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
you.
anyway,
They can
Yeah,
travel
so
through
she's just
hyperspace, but they can't
sitting
watch
there-
a little I Love Lucy.
sitting there all by her lonesome,
She's
Yeah.
just sitting there.
lounging like Nero on the.
Just
Throne.
How depressed was she?
And how do we take her last line? there?
Man,
How do we interpret her last line there?
Remind me the last thing she said.
She had
Get out, leave me.
yeah, their little here's
Off with his
exact
head.
thing.
She
I'm
seemed
going
she's
to
just given
Mandalore.
up.
Yeah.
Sound like that to me.
He says,
She's
I'm
given
going to
up.
Mandalore so that I may bathe in the living waters, be forgiven for my transgressions. She says, you are a fool. There's nothing magic about the mines of Mandalore. They supplied Beskar ore to our ancestors, and the rest is superstition. That planet has been ravaged, plundered, and poisoned. You said the curse was a lie. Make up your mind.
He's got the whole thing.
If you want to go to the mines, be my guest.
The mines of Mandalore.
Mines of Mandalore.
My cousin Balin will give us a royal welcome.
Ripe on the bone.
Razor sharp
Right off the bone. Last thing here. If you want to go to the mines, be my guest. They're beneath the Civic Center in the city of Sundari. Thank you, and I will find out if the planet is really poisoned. Then she waits. Goodbye, Din Djarin. But the way she says it, she's like smiling. It almost feels like you're falling into my trap. That's kind of how I felt. Not like, goodbye, I'm tired of talking to you, but kind of like either goodbye, like I think you're going to die because the planet's poison, or goodbye because I don't think she's just going quietly about this Darksaber thing.
No.
No.
She's like, oh, no, devastated.
So
But why don't
I'll
you
see
lead
you
them? I
again.
don't think she's like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and mope.
Which I think is
she
exactly why
expected
she's not.
he was going to come to her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think she's very specific. I mean, she was quick to, you want to go do it? Fine. It's specifically, here's the exact coordinate. Like, she
Go
literally was like,
right there.
Yeah.
it's under the city of Sundari in the mines, so under the Civic Center. They have a Civic Center, which is great. They're
Just
teaching
great.
civics
Yeah.
there.
They
Yeah.
play basketball and
It's
floor hockey.
great.
It's a great.
The
Yeah, I just
Mandalorian.
feel like all
Boys and
those
Girls
things
Club.
about Bo-Katan are just is why she's not fit to rule.
I definitely
Yeah.
feel
I think
like
Sabine was forced a little bit in the time, and it's proven that.
I don't
maybe-
think she's going quietly on the Darksaber leading me.
No.
Thing. It means too much to her. I really don't
Yeah.
think she is. So the way that her delivery there is very intentional. She could have said goodbye, Din Djarin. She said goodbye, Din Djarin. It totally was in my opinion, totally was a menacing. It was
Yeah.
a conniving, like
mockery-ish a little
all
bit.
right,
Yeah.
like we'll see who has the last laugh. Like I've got some up my
Yeah.
sleeve.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
No, I agree. I don't think that's the end of Bo. We'll get her.
Oh, it's definitely
No.
not the end of Bo. We've seen shots in the trailer for standing side by side with Mando.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think that
would
I think she
predict-
goes with him to
I predict she.
to Mando
Bitter
at some point.
bow.
Yeah.
Bitter bow.
I wouldn't be surprised
Quite
if.
frankly, she was a loser because she didn't have the dark saber. The dark saber.
I think
You
that.
gotta pronounce it just a little off.
The dark saber. Am I saying that right? The dark saber.
The
This guy.
Mandalorians love me.
Mandalorians
They
love me, and quite frankly,
I'm
a lot of
very
people are
popular.
saying that Bo was
Look at the
a bit of a loser.
No, I think that.
Bitter Bo.
I think that. I wouldn't be surprised if she does have this sort of this thing against Mando and the Darksaber, and there's some tension there, maybe even a fight or a battle. I wouldn't be surprised if Sabine gets involved.
Man, that
And
would
she
be
shows
awesome.
up
Mhm.
leading into the Ahsoka series,
Yeah.
which we know she's in.
Yep.
If she shows up in this season of Mando, gets involved and kind of snaps Bo-Katan out of it and
Mhm.
tries to kind of help bridge the
Bring
gap
unity.
between them and
Unity.
I think it's interesting they keep talking about the way of the Mandalorian, how his side is this old religious cult with the Child of the Watch, but then she talks about how her people left her and are now mercenaries around the galaxy. So it's
Mhm.
like it almost feels like Mandalore's also destroyed, right? And I wonder if this is leading to a new order of Mandalorians. Like this is the way has been this whole theme, but what we're actually building up to is the exact opposite of like, no, we're scratching it, we're building a new thing, whether it's Mando, Bo-Katan, Boba
Yeah.
Fett, Sabine, whoever it is that ends up ruling or leading them, that they are going to come to grips with. Here's how we're going to do things. Like, not just the rules of taking off the helmet, but also like we all need to come together regardless of what the way has been in the past.
I think it's Mando, and I think it's going to be a more peaceful, not a warring society.
Yeah.
I think, and Grogu's going to have that effect on. It has that effect on Mando, and that's going to be the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they'll fight to achieve it, but it's not just to become a warring people.
Sure.
It's different.
I think they'll try to
Might be
establish
learning from
something
grief
better.
about embracing change. I thought it was
Yeah.
interesting connecting kind of talking about what could possibly be ahead for Mando, and just as much as I joked about kind of the grief and his Mando, live off the fat of the land.
Yeah.
He really is though. Like when the pirates show up, he's like, "This is a school. This is not."
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, you paid for us to do kill so and so right in there." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Well, step into my office." Like
But-
he's not going back to that.
yeah, we're not
It's
doing that
very
anymore.
clear. And he's even trying to tell Mando, like, you don't have to do all this. You can hang up your blaster. You and the kid go, like, live a good life. Relax. You there's more than just fighting. And it's interesting to think of what is, whether it's on this show or elsewhere, for the story of Din Djarin coming to completion, like whether it's in the show The Mandalorian or if it's a movie or if it's they leave it open and years later it's finished.
Mhm.
You do wonder where is.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like he's gonna he's already getting away from the bounty hunter life.
Yeah.
But what happens after Mandalore? Like, is it that he's that he's the ruler of Mandalore? Is not?
I don't
is it
think
him
so.
and is it him and Grogu just continue kind of like making their way across? I mean, there's no end game for Han Solo, really. Like it's maybe similar to that of like he does settle down as far as he has a family and stuff, but Han also goes back to some of his old ways and like he's still kind of pulling the same old tricks and stuff. Maybe
There could be a meeting
they're
of
just
the
traveling.
minds and hearts between him and Bo-Katan at some point,
yeah,
where
Yeah.
be some
she
middle
as
ground there.
the heir makes sense, but has a softening of the heart.
Yeah.
Does get control
don't-
of the Darksaber, somehow brings that about, and
If you're
Yeah.
Din, don't you just want to say, "Hey, listen, I don't want
I
this,"
don't want it.
and you do, but you have to defeat me. Train, for goodness sake.
Just practice a
I'm
little
not
bit.
doing anything to try to get better at this thing.
I
Train.
never use this.
Train.
Yeah.
I can't take
In fact,
a dive
just hit me
because
in the hand. I'll drop it.
I can't take a dive and
There you
just
go.
intentionally
Yeah.
lose. But you could actually get better,
Yeah.
Like train.
Yeah.
Are you even trying?
It's not gonna
Are
happen.
you
He's
even
sitting
trying?
on the
Are you even
throne.
trying?
Are you even trying?
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with
Yeah.
Pelimoto and I'm riding Rancor more than I'm using this Darksaber. What in the world?
Trying to, at least. We got
You
Derpy in the
even-
chat. What's going on?
you even
Vincent's in the chat. What's
Try.
going on? Welcome,
Try,
everybody.
please.
Derpy said I was a little disappointed. I thought the episode was a little underwhelming.
Ooh,
Thought the
let's talk
trailer
about that a little.
showed you that it was a little underwhelming. I'm trying to read into this. The trailer showed me that, which is why you were a little concerned. Yeah, the trailer showed a lot of what we saw in this first episode, which to me I liked. We talked a bit about this a little bit earlier. I like that because now I
like
feel
getting that
like
out of the way.
everything
I
It's
feel like
coming
it's
is
out of
new.
the way, and now I don't know what to expect is coming next.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
As far as underwhelming, I could see in today's day and age like why so many people, ourselves included, we always talk about if we're gonna make predictions, let's speculate. We always like to use the term that Force Center uses.
Force
to
Center's good.
speculate responsibly. Like
Oh.
let's if you're gonna speculate or you're gonna
So you're
predict
supposed
things,
to drive responsibly and speculate responsibly.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
but
And
like,
if you
you can
drive
make a
and
prediction.
speculate, definitely do it responsibly.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Go ahead,
right.
sir.
No, yeah. No, for sure.
But,
Yeah.
but like making predictions, obviously, everybody wants to make predictions. I love making predictions, trying to figure out what's happening. And if that doesn't happen, just
Can't let-
remembering
yeah. Can't let
just because
your
that
predictions
just because
become
my prediction
expectations.
didn't happen doesn't mean that has to happen. Like for instance, I predicted that we might see Sabine in the first episode
Mm-hmm.
as kind of like an ending of the first episode. There's been big reveals in every season so far. The
Yep.
end of the first episode in season 1, the world got introduced to Grogu. The end of the first episode in season 2, they brought back Boba Fett. Thought there might be a reveal in the end of this first season or first episode. There were some things that were out there, the Purgles and things like that, but not like a big character like Sabine.
Yeah.
I thought Sabine might be one of those characters that could show up and make sense with the Mandalorian.
Unless it's
Didn't
Gorian
happen.
Shard. Unless that's the
Yeah.
No, I was kidding.
No, yeah. No, I'm
but
with you.
It didn't happen. That doesn't necessarily mean that. I don't know. I think it's just important, I guess, for even myself included. I remind myself of this, of like, just because I think this would happen or this might be cool, I don't know where the story is going.
Yeah.
She might very well come in at a different point in this season, or not at all. It might be someone else. Might not be anybody. But just kind of taking the story for what it is, and then deciding after the fact whether maybe I like it or dislike it. I don't know.
To touch on that, because when I was watching too, and the episode ended, I did think, oh, there wasn't a big bombshell moment of, oh, I didn't see that coming, this coming.
There were things that I was like, oh, that's cool.
There
but
wasn't to that level, but also I was very satisfied and very much enjoyed the episode because I did feel like the table is set. I know.
Right.
I mean, we had speculation that, yes, he's going to go to Mandalore, he's going to go to Mandalore, he's going to do this. But they actually got that ball rolling.
Yeah.
This wasn't an episode of just doing random things that had nothing to do with it, and then at the end he's like, oh, well, maybe I'll go to Mandalore. He was like,
cover some ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was, I felt like
kind
we
of set
moved
up where
the
we're
story,
going.
and we also checked in on some of our main characters and saw where Grief is. We, the IG-11 thing I didn't see coming.
I didn't.
That was a
No.
big
I didn't see
surprise.
the Purgles coming. I
No,
like
like-
that they're setting that up. They're teasing, whether it's in this or referencing to the Ahsoka series. They're kind of reminding us, hey, remember, this is
Right.
you heard us mention Thrawn's name in the last episode
Yep.
or the last season. Now we're throwing the Purgles out here.
Mhm.
It's kind of just like hanging this thing over.
Right.
Like, don't forget, this is going to be a big thing that's coming.
I would say I was not overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I was not underwhelmed. I was whelmed.
You were
I
whelmed.
was.
You were
I was
balanced
just
in
like,
the Force.
hey,
Whelm.
I see.
You were a little
I see it.
stitious. Yeah.
I wasn't. I'm not superstitious. I was a little suspicious. No, I could see. Like I didn't go.
totally.
Whoa! I never
Yeah.
thought of that.
Yeah.
But I didn't also think. I was
right.
excited. I enjoyed it.
I'm with you. I
and I
thought
could
it was
see where
solid.
we're going. Yeah.
I thought it was
agree.
solid.
I
Yeah.
thought it was a solid first episode.
Yeah.
I don't think by the end of this season, I guarantee there'll be a different episode that I'm like, that was my favorite episode.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
I'll look back and say this was my favorite episode.
Some of the moments were very, very Star
But
Wars, very
they were.
old
They were
school,
great.
really
I liked
fun.
The theme, like you mentioned earlier, it felt very Star Wars. A lot of things different happened. We traveled around different
Yeah.
places. We got the pirates. We got
I thought
the
those
shootout in
pirates were
space.
great.
I will
too.
say this: I was overwhelmed by the look and the sound of it. It felt much
It felt bigger.
It felt bigger than
way more
yeah.
cinematic. We mentioned this
Yeah.
at the
It
beginning.
really did.
That part surprised me. I was like, this feels
I
different.
agree.
It's
I mean,
almost
right off
like
the
I
bat with
don't
the battle
know-
of the giant.
It's a new
giant
level.
gator.
Oh my goodness!
That in itself,
Sarcosuchus.
I was like, oh, this looks
This
big.
is not to
Prehistoric
criticize
reptile
any of the other
circus.
shows, because especially coming off Andor, which looked fantastic.
Yeah.
But I do think, I bet that if I watched, even though these are maybe my two favorite of our shows,
Whoa.
if I watched
Hey, take it
if I
easy.
watched Obi-Wan, and I watched
You could definitely
Mando,
see
I
it.
think that the difference as
This-
far as the quality of
Quality and
the
scale.
visual,
Yeah.
scale, I
Yep.
think that that it's very noticeable.
I agree.
As much as I'm absolutely obsessed with that Obi-Wan show, when you see again the fact that it was almost like they were showing off, like with that whole opening scene of like you had again, it's not even the same creators of who did Obi-Wan,
yeah.
because I thought Deborah Chow did great, but Favreau and Filoni coming in and like, oh, we have the scene that
Look
kind of
what I
feels
can
like
do.
it's a flashback
Look
at
what I
first,
can
and
do.
then all
Yeah.
of a sudden, boom! Here's the greatest. Like this looks like I wouldn't have seen better effects in a Star Wars film as
Right.
what they did with that
Yeah.
giant like gator monster thing.
And that was a long
And it
fight
went-
too. It
And
wasn't
it went
just like
on
quick.
and on, and I was like, how expensive was this opening?
It was way
Yeah.
better than the Crate Dragon. The Crate Dragon was awesome.
This is.
But I thought it was like
huge
this
step
is
Great
up.
Dragon
level.
was more okay. It went and then it hid, and then it popped out and it hid. This was on screen a lot.
Yeah,
flipping
Or
and
this
Yeah.
versus like the beast in the first episode, which I thought was really impressive at the time. That
Yes.
sea monster coming out of the ice
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Right.
That I was like, when I saw that, I remember when I first saw
That
it.
was a 10
thought-
second or 4 second thing.
Yeah,
this
but I did
show
think
is-
like, whoa, they have a big budget. And
Right.
they even showed that. I was like, whoa, this is
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
This they did it. Then they're showing
Yep.
their tactics. Then it's doing barrel rolls and taking everyone under the
Spinning
water.
and-
And I was
Yeah.
like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
yes, I'm with you. I feel like very solid episode. Like, did not leave going, I'm disappointed by that. there wasn't a moment that I was like, I cannot wait I have to text about this moment.
Right.
It was like, I thought it was solid throughout. I didn't lose my interest at all in any of the moments.
I'll say this: Bad Batch, I've enjoyed. We haven't got to that yet.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it, but when it's over, I didn't necessarily think I can't wait till next week.
Yeah.
I felt that way.
Yes.
I was like, I'm really excited about next week.
I can't wait till next
What are we
week.
gonna? Because we don't know.
Totally.
Everything's gonna be new.
Yeah. And that leads me right into what Vincent welcome. Vincent's in the chat. Says, "What's up, Star Wars guys? What do you guys think Mando will find on Mandalore in the next episode?" Here's the thing. I don't think we get there in the next episode.
You think he's got to go?
I think
he's going to work on the part.
I think he's got to get the part. I think he might even get take the part back. Maybe get IG-11 back going.
Well, see, he's going to have to go out of his way though, because he's already in the Mandalorian system. He's already.
Because he went to her.
Right?
He finished off talking to her.
He's already there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is
I don't know.
Yeah.
That is true.
Because I thought
he's
going to go get that, but he's already.
He went to her first.
I don't know.
It is interesting. I'm not sure. Maybe we do. I don't know. I didn't write it.
What are we gonna see?
Maybe we go there. But either way, let's just say when we do get to Mandalorian.
I think it's gonna
what do you
look.
think we see?
I think it's gonna look exactly like Wall-E.
All the humans are way overweight.
Everybody's gone.
Everybody's gone.
Trash
Garbage
built
is
up.
stacked up.
And you just
And
hear
it's a tie-in
Well,
to
that
the
show-
Pixar universe.
They actually do show
It's a whole
like
Disney
it.
push for Wall-E too.
you see
There's a little
Mando's
shot of
looking
Mandalore
off.
in the trailer.
Of Mandalorian? Oh yeah, Mandalorian.
Yes,
trailer.
there
Yeah,
is.
there is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it looks like he's underneath.
Well, and
I think he finds what he's looking for.
Yeah.
I do.
And when he's looking, you hear him. He's kind of walking through that little. It looked like a sewer or something, and then you hear Eva. Eva.
Wally. No, so he needs to bathe in the waters. Is that right?
He said, "What if I bring you proof? Like, what? You're gonna bring me the dirt off your back?
he's
You're
gonna
No, he's like,
Bring a cup of this.
selfie.
It's gonna be this glowing water. They also
It's gonna be a whole scene. He's
they
like,
kept
Grogu, take the picture.
emphasizing.
Take the picture.
it's all out of focus.
Grogu's going
I
like
see
this.
nothing. This picture
Grogu's
shows me
taking the
nothing.
picture and like closing his eyes.
He's got the
he's like,
camera
"You're bathing."
backwards.
Yeah.
Grogu's face.
Did anybody notice? They kept like it almost seemed like they were emphasizing the armorer's pour of that liquid. When
Oh yeah,
it wasn't just like water, or like it was like a.
it was like a pensieve,
She didn't
a
think.
pensive
it
from Harry Potter.
yeah, that's exactly what it
definitely
reminded
felt
me
like
of.
Just pulling out her memories
That's exactly
and
what it
dropping them
reminded
in
me
the
of. But
pensive.
I thought it was weird that in the same episode they're talking about the living waters or whatever it is.
Oh, and then
underneath. They're showing her porn. Like they emphasized it. It seemed like a couple
She's got
times.
him right
that
there.
it's
He could have
like,
just dipped his head right in.
interesting. I don't know.
She didn't thank him for him coming back and saving them from the sea monster. Nothing else. She immediately turned her back. And
You
just
know why?
walked in.
Yeah,
Because
This
the
is the one-
armorer is bad.
that's
The armor
right.
is bad.
No,
No,
but I don't.
Do we really
it-
think that Mando wants to be atoned for his sins?
I think he does. I
think he does too. But
I think
I
he
think all of
does.
us on the outside are like, leave the cult.
Come on, man.
Leave the cult.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he
Doesn't mean
gets there and
necessarily
he
go
finds
work with
out
Bo either.
and he finds out more information about what's really going on.
Or nothing feels different. He feels
Or
exactly
that.
the same. It's like,
Yeah, I think I think he gets there, and by the time he does this whole thing about trying to redeem himself to be brought back into the way of the Children of the Watch,
yeah.
that he's gonna realize this, like either he
Why?
realizes like this isn't what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna be with Grogu. I wanna
Mm-hmm.
protect this kid, this child, and kind of do his own thing. It could be either like a realization of that, or he actually finds out more information about what Bo-Katan is saying, and that the Children of the Watch abandoned Mandalore before they actually got destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Before they were really destroyed,
He finds
they
evidence
they
of something.
abandoned them, and that's what Bo-Katan tells him. And I wonder if he actually finds maybe evidence or more information, because he says, "I'll bring you." What if I bring you evidence of it? What if the evidence he brings is actually evidence that they are not who she's like he brings some
Switches
sort
it
of
on
evidence
him.
that says this was you, or like you were responsible for this, or you were part of this, or you left, you abandoned the way,
Mm-hmm.
like that. Sort
If
of
it is
thing.
a true cult, there is no evidence that's going to do anything. It's
Yeah.
gonna it's
Right.
too deep. That's why I
seen
think
him-
I think
but
he's
for
deeper
him,
in.
it will. It
Maybe.
won't do anything for them.
So do
but
we
for,
think
it
that
will
he
for
never-
him to
It-
realize I'm not a part? This is not.
It
what
might.
I'm-
It might.
Well, let's say
a
this.
part of.
Do we think he ever goes against? Does he ever confront the armor, or does he ever break away from the armor?
Yes.
Yes.
I think so too. But it's interesting because we thought initially, I think we thought last season when Bo-Katan and them are like, "You're one of them to watch,"
Yeah.
and then he ends up taking his helmet off and stuff like that. Kind of thought like,
Looked like-
maybe he's making
oh.
some progress here. That he's not gonna.
Yeah.
Then immediately he's like,
More committed than ever. It
"Yeah."
appears.
He's
Yeah.
like, listen, I'm gonna show I'm so committed that I'm gonna go to a poisoned planet,
Right.
take a bath in the poisonous water
With Grogu.
with Grogu,
Yeah.
Like this isn't
and
like
uh,
without Grogu anymore.
but the
Mm.
question is, will he
Grogu's
go
a
there and
foundling,
look?
so
He'll
he has
go
to
there
go.
and find what he's looking for, or he'll go there and, like you said, and discover something else that maybe changes
His view.
I
his
can't-
view, or maybe someone else is there.
I think he discovers some more information about something, whether it's history of Mandalore, what actually happened on that night of 1,000 Tears, and that the fact that they weren't even there, that the Children
Yeah.
of Watch weren't even there to help their own kind, and that's not the way, right? That's not what they're about. They're about protecting each other. They
Mhm.
showed up to protect him.
Right.
So
Once he
know.
redeems himself and comes back, and Grogu is a foundling, they're gonna have to make him a helmet. It's gonna have little ear holes at the top.
yeah,
I like it.
or not. The ears are covered up too.
Poor
And then they
ears
show up,
smushed.
and Luke's like, "Are you serious? You put a helmet on him? Are you serious?"
Take
Here.
the light. Just take the lightsaber.
This is the way. Ugh.
And you brought that guy too.
Bad baby.
Bad
Bad baby.
baby.
It
Yeah.
broke.
Brutal.
It broke. It
Vincent
Look at
broke.
it, put it on the
said,
green guy. It's brutal.
It
Oh,
broke.
Imagine Anakin saying, "I'm very overwhelmed." I'm very overwhelmed. My master.
my master.
My master. And then you go old. Hayden Christensen. I'm very overwhelmed. He's got the voice a
Talks
little
like
pure.
for a little bit. Yeah, very well.
Sorry, master, but now my voice.
Sorry.
Now I'm 40 years old.
No, 40
May the
years
force be with you.
That's pretty good.
It's a little,
That's good.
thank you.
Vincent said, "I love. The
I do that for a
pirates."
living. No, I don't. I
Vincent
do it
said,
for
"I love the
social media,
pirates
yes, I do.
too. Do you think we get live action Hondo?
Hey.
Hey,
was
we were
hoping.
talking about Hondo.
I think eventually we will.
Ezra Bridger.
That
Yeah.
could be in maybe Ahsoka
Yeah.
or
Oh,
Mando.
it'd
I
be
don't
great.
know.
That would be awesome.
You tell, dude. If
He's such a
Ezra's
great
coming
character.
back, Hondo's got to be there.
Got to.
They're boys.
It's one of my favorite characters.
Hondo's
Hondo.
great.
Hondo's
Especially
great.
if you go to
Bridger.
Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Man.
yeah.
I know.
Vincent
Man.
also says, "What if the armorer takes her helmet off?"
Ooh. What if Din takes her helmet off?
Ooh. And then the only and then
you
they look
are
and
a
they
Mandalorian no longer.
and then they look and they take off Bo-Katan. She's like, "Great, I take off."
I do it all
20
the
times a day."
time. Thank you.
I
I
never
don't
wear
like.
the
I don't
same
like it
one.
on actually. It messes
Never
up my
wear
hair.
it. It's-
Yeah. Anything else on Boba Fett or Boba Fett on
Oh.
Mando?
Still got Boba
Oh,
Fett.
hey, whoa,
Are you guys find yourself? I find myself slipping into Rocky whenever I try to do the Mando theme.
Oh,
I fall into. Da, 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 da,
Oh, yeah.
da, 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 da.
Yeah.
I can't help it. It just sounds like Rocky to me. And then I get to da, 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 da.
It really is though.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
It is.
It's Rocky.
Yeah.
I sometimes slip
Well,
into. I
it's
sometimes
Apollo
slip
Creed.
into.
It's Creed, right?
I sometimes slip into Winnie the Pooh when I'm trying to do a Hondo voice. As Jim Cummings, I want to see.
Oh, Paula.
I want to see him
Ezra
accidentally. Ezra. Oh bother! He's just like, what, Jim?
Oh.
Oh bother! It's just like Hondo. What are you doing? That's what
Yeah.
Hondo does best.
Let's do some.
Hondo's bounce.
That's what Hondo.
Oh, bumpa poodle.
Oh bother!
Yeah.
Um,
Hondo's got a rumbly in his tumbly.
I hope Boba
Oh,
makes an
boy.
appearance in The Mandalorian this season. I think
Hey, I
we'll-
think that's
we'll
a
see him-
possible. We're seeing them
I
all
think
come
we only get
together.
soon.
I
That
think
would
it's
be
only 8
awesome.
episodes, aren't they?
I'm predicting
Oh,
Mando
I just
maybe.
realized we only have 7 episodes. We're only 1 episode in. I'm already worried about
Mando
how close
maybe
we're being
we
over.
get Boba Fett within the next 2 episodes.
2. Wow.
Whoa.
Chapter
Whoa.
18, chapter 19. By the end of chapter 19, we're seeing Boba Fett.
Wait a second. We were this close. She was relaxed.
We almost got Sleepy Bo. Sleepy Bo.
Is that a bitter bow?
Bitter Bo. We got Sleepy Bo.
Yeah.
No.
I think we're getting Boba
think
Fett
we
within
could-
the next 2 episodes.
All right.
I just don't know. I just
Mando
don't
maybe
know.
Sabine showing up sometime this season.
Mando maybe. I can tell you.
Mando maybe Thrawn showing up this season.
Wow. That would be massive.
Here's a good segue.
Mando maybe Omega. No.
Here's a good segue into our final into our next portion of this.
Segment segue. Segue.
Were you put it this way between Mando and Bad Batch? Which of these would you say had outperformed your expectations for a day, or do you think that one of them was better than what you were expecting? Because I can tell you which I think is
know
mine.
exactly.
I can. It doesn't
My
mean I
answer
thought
for
that
this.
this episode was better than this episode,
Oh, that's
but
exactly
I
what it
was
means.
more pleasantly
Within the
surprised.
context of its own show, which
I
one
was-
was above its?
I was
Yeah.
more impressed by how much more into this episode of Bad Batch I was. I thought it's not that I thought Bad Batch was better than Mando. I thought I would love Mando, and I was happy, giddy
Bad
watching the whole
Batch was
time.
great.
Bad Batch, we've had some
One
episodes
of the
that I've
best
liked, but
episodes
felt
of the
like I
season.
kind of wonder where it's going. And then from the opening shot, it felt like it really. In the first 5 minutes of this episode, when it's the clone commandos, the one surviving the disaster, and he's walking around, and immediately I was like, "This
Yeah.
reminds me of how I felt watching the Clone Wars."
I love the-
where you
I
get
it did feel like
Roger,
that.
Roger, this, and then the next episode, all of a sudden, it cuts to Maul, and I'm like, "Is this the same
Wow.
show?" Like, I mean this in the best way. Like,
Exactly.
it feels from the very opening shot so much
Yeah.
more at stake. I don't know. Just I loved this episode of Bad
I know we're not
Batch.
comparing episodes.
We're not comparing.
I think
Not
I
comparing.
thought
Not
it was a
comparing, but if we
Bad
did,
Batch was a fantastic episode. Loved it, and the very ending made it
Oh,
even better.
man.
Yes.
Now, I feel like now we've got a chase on our hands,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're gonna connect the fact that ship is those people. They're gonna make the connection again, and now we're all. I mean,
Yeah.
We're
Now
on.
it's on.
it's on. But
It's
the
on.
Empire
And she's
is
in mortal
coming
danger.
for- yeah.
I also just
Wow.
love the intention too with like, and I
Her
don't know if-
importance too.
I
is
feel
just
like they
back
timed it up
skyrocketing.
like this way intentionally, but you bring back Boba Fett, or I keep saying Boba. You bring back Mandalorian,
Mhm.
right? And we know that there's been an emphasis with Grogu and the cloning and Dr. Pershing, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And didn't come up in this episode, in Mando premiere didn't come up, but Bad Batch shows
talking about-
the patches on everybody. They're
Yeah.
talking about it. They're talking about the cloning. I thought Kamino was gone. Oh, there's actually a bigger purpose. They're doing their own thing for Palpatine.
The
They
Emperor's
specifically
purpose.
say for the
So
Emperor's
great.
purpose.
When
and
they
I'm like,
said that, I immediately sat up and was like,
I know.
"This show just skyrocketed about how
They
good
talk
it is
about how
again."
they're doing cloning for the Emperor's purpose, and I'm like, this whole thing, whether the asset they're talking about in Bad Batch is Omega, because it kind of seems like that's Omega at that point,
Yeah.
and now we're saying it's Grogu in The Mandalorian,
Mhm.
but there's just so many parallels.
They're both looking for the clone. It's both the key. It's both the Emperor's plans.
Yeah.
But I love
That's
that we're seeing
interesting.
on screen them talking about the Emperor, specifically now the Emperor's contingency plans about cloning
Yeah.
regarding, and again, his specific. This is for the Emperor. The Emperor's
And I love how the
purpose.
Batch, like Hunter, I think it was Hunter, like is verbally putting it all together for the audience, but also for
Mhm.
the for
about
the
why
Batch together,
Kamino was
about-
destroyed.
He's saying, "Oh, they're doing it so that they can control it."
They do it to,
They
they
didn't
do it
do
to
it to
stop
get rid of it.
to end cloning.
Exactly
They did it
right.
so they
Just
can control it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Oh."
And they got
man.
Nala Se in prison. And
Yeah, they're not gone.
I didn't
We're
write down the
definitely
character's name.
we're definitely done with Sid. I mean, After
we-
this,
They even
I was-
mentioned
no
it.
I was
way.
Mentioned.
glad that they
Yeah.
confronted Sid. Like
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
and again it was in
Sid's-
hollow form,
listen.
but they're like, listen,
Sid's
goggles.
got
and
it.
you know,
Listen,
Hunter
I'm like,
didn't say
listen.
yes to this one either.
No.
Did you notice that? I watched
didn't.
for that.
Yeah.
He just turned around and walked away.
And
He
you
didn't
know,
say
Mega's
yes.
like, you left us. Like you and they're like,
You left us.
So what?
Also,
Yeah, who
did you guys
cares,
notice?
Goggles?
Did you
Like,
guys
all right,
notice?
Sid.
Blondie.
No, she
All
didn't
right,
say that.
Blondie, kick rocks, Sid.
Did you guys notice that one of
Sid's getting
the
on my nerves.
one
love
of
it.
the
Kick rocks, Sid.
one of the doctors?
I'm talking to the Batchy. Make it fast, Blondie.
All right, learn my freaking
Who
name.
pulled your
Sid.
chain, Goggles? We're putting
I
words
thought,
in his
sorry,
mouth.
I thought Hunter
Nate's
was gonna
got
pull.
something good
I
to
thought Hunter
say.
was gonna pull his gun at. He's gonna pull
I'm
his
gonna stab
blaster
you with
at
my
the
knife.
hollow. Don't make me do it. They're like, Hunter, easy, easy.
Go
Can't kill a
ahead,
hologram.
bandana.
Can't do it.
All right, Nate.
Headband.
Nate,
I was
reel us,
saying-
reel us in.
Did you guys realize that the one of the doctors with the cloning stuff had the same accent?
Yes, it did. The woman.
Notice
Yeah.
that immediately.
Is that what you're talking
My
about?
first thought was
It's interesting.
that's intentional.
Yeah.
That's intentional.
Okay, I
wonder
didn't
what
write
that's about.
down his name, but I loved the new the
Oh,
doctor
yeah.
who came in.
The evil guy.
Who came in?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm taking over.
Yeah.
Such a great
And I can
character.
give you
Well, he
clone
threatened
commandos as much as
Lamas.
possible. Those things are sick.
Yeah, he threatened who they bring in. The what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. Lamasu. The Nala Se is the one. Is the
Nala Se was the one.
is
in
the one in.
cell.
But then they brought in the prime minister.
Yeah.
Tan,
Ex. Oh, that was
it's not
Tan Lee.
Tanwi.
The
No,
prime
Yeah.
minister.
Yeah, they brought
I don't
him.
remember who it was.
Yeah, they brought prime minister. Or should I say ex prime minister?
Yeah.
Great character.
And he asks him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you misunderstood. Like, if you know anything, now would be the time to say it. Like, because if not, you're heading to the execution room. Like, we're gonna find out if we finally have any use for you. If not, Ekar.
Man.
Yeah, this episode,
I wonder.
and
my
then the
first-
Zillow Beast.
Oh my gosh.
With getting stronger, becoming a full blown like dragon and all
Godzilla
this stuff.
climbing on the-
Godzilla.
yeah.
It was awesome.
Godzilla Beast.
Godzilla. No, but it was
Listen,
like King
Blondie.
Kong,
Here's a
Godzilla
Godzilla.
It
combined.
was. It was
But
awesome.
the accent. My first thought was, first off, we've been wondering ever since Bad Batch started,
Know what you're gonna say?
what is special about Omega? Like, obviously, she's different than all the other clones. She's female, but
Mhm.
also they're like, what about her? She doesn't age,
Mhm.
right? So we know that something had to have been changed, whether it was intentional or accidental, whatever it is. And we know that she was protected pretty heavily in the first season. So
It
we
was
knew that
Lamasu.
we knew that there
Lamasu.
was something special about her.
Tanwi was his assistant.
His assistant.
We knew there was something special about her, and now it seems like we're finally getting some of those, hinting towards some of those answers. And they even say, we need to find her. She's the key. So there's something, I think, whether it's in her DNA, and that's why they didn't want to age her
Yeah.
as rapidly or what. There's something about her DNA that's part of, maintaining the
pyramid.
ability.
And they said
the
she's the
ability
key.
to clone.
She's the key to controlling Nala Se.
Yeah,
They're like, you want Nala Se to cooperate? She's the key.
yeah,
Which is interesting too, because it's like.
I think
Right.
she maybe sees her as a daughter or something.
Yeah.
right.
Because one of them was looking for her to protect, and one
She was the
looking
one.
for her to.
She was trying
And
to
it made
protect
me
her.
Yeah.
wonder
Prime
if maybe
Minister
that
was-
doctor. I mean, I'm just literally throwing this out there because of the accent, but it was intentional. So
I
it
think
makes me
she's a
wonder
clone.
if she was the doctor that was part of what.
Didn't she
was part
also
of,
linger?
I thought the
making
two
Omega.
looked similar.
Yeah.
I thought they.
I
did.
thought
She-
they might have been
Vincent
clones
said the same thing
themselves.
in chat.
I think they
thought-
might have been clones.
Didn't she kind of linger
The two doctors.
and look at Nala Se a little bit longer when everyone else? That's what I kind of read it too. Is
Yeah.
when they all like were looking at Nala Se in like her cell, and they're in the head doctor, man is like threatening her and all this stuff, and then they walk away, and then the woman stays there and looks at her, and then walks and I was like, they kept separating her a little bit.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
feel like there's something coming,
There's something about her. and
right?
Omega.
That's what I thought. I don't know. Felt
I
like they were
I thought they
distinguishing.
might have been clones.
Yeah.
So there's somewhat of an allegiance there, but they're under the They're being forced to do this, but they have an allegiance.
Yeah.
There's still
Yeah.
there's still compassion there. Maybe.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I love that we have sort of a direction on what's going on. It feels like everything's like pedal to the
As soon as it
metal
happened, I
where-
was like, "Oh, we're getting another season.
I know.
We got to have another season now." Like,
It's either
how can
that
they
or-
wrap it all up in
either
the
that
next?
Or we're gonna get a
We got
heck
like
of a
5
final-
episodes.
It's just gonna
or
go
something.
crazy.
5 episodes left.
Yeah.
We went from thinking this is it to I'm thinking that could go on
Forever.
at least one more.
And
They're literally gonna go until Omega and Grogu meet.
we went from 2
That'd be
weeks ago.
awesome.
2 weeks ago, and
Omega
understandably
saved
so.
Grogu from the temple.
That's who it was.
That's
It's
it.
Jedi.
2 weeks ago, and understandably so. Nate had our little thumbnail.
Where are
So
they headed?
Where's it going? Where's it headed?
Where's it
Where's
going?
it going? So now we're like, well, they need another season. Obviously,
Gotta
You can't-
go another
we have
one.
so much that they're showing
So
they're
they
going
have
to give
to
us.
tell. They
We haven't
have
even
to
seen
give us
Mace
all this now.
Windu yet.
We haven't
Yeah.
seen Mace Windu
No, it's
yet.
interesting.
We
It's
haven't.
interesting. I'm excited.
He's out
I
there.
also loved this episode. You kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. It felt kind of like Clone Wars. Like you have the Roger, and then immediately you get like a darker. You're like, I'm watching an animated show for kids right now,
Mhm.
and watching this in the ship with the clone commando stuff. I'm like, this feels like I'm watching Alien.
Yeah,
Like-
it was.
Alien, yeah.
Like
Definitely was Alien.
showing up,
You're just
but
trying
you
to get
see
out
it
alive,
turning,
yep.
showing heads, hearing noises.
It was a
boom,
ghost. It was
pops
like a
up, and-
horror
Yeah, it
episode.
was.
Yeah,
I was
For
like,
sure.
wow, this is intense.
that's good.
It was really good.
That was awesome. And then also, maybe as we're wrapping up here, I thought
I got one more
the
thing to
fact
share
that-
before we
yeah,
wrap
the
up.
Ooh,
fact
okay.
that we were watching or that we got this good of a Bad Batch episode on a day that we also got the premiere of Mando season 3. I was like, this is an even better double up. Nothing against some of the previous episodes, but it's not like we got Mando and then also Riot Racing episode, which was fine.
Yeah,
Of Bad Batch, there was some good stuff there, but it's a side.
this was
plot.
big progress.
This was
today.
big story, big
Yeah.
canon, big
Yeah,
through line of Omega getting back to. I like the fact
Emperor's
that this
plans.
the end of this episode
Yeah.
went from, and then they're also like, we got to reach out to Rex, we got to reach out to Echo.
Oh, we're pulling-
like
yeah.
we're bringing
Is anyone
people
else?
in
Yeah, that's
here,
true.
right?
That's
so
true.
I almost forgot about
And
that.
their
but it
mission is
felt big.
clarified. Their mission now is going to be
Now they know.
protect Omega. That's what it's going to turn
Yeah.
into.
Yeah.
We gotta
We
protect
can't do
Omega.
Sid's. Well, I got another tip for you. I got a tip too. Kick rocks, Sid.
Want to
Yeah,
make
kick
money?
You wanna make money?
Lady.
Fine, I'll do 35%. It's like, I just
It's
want
all
to
of a
make
sudden
her
it's Jerry
Maz
Lewis.
from-
Lady.
I just
That
want
was,
to make her Maz from Monsters Inc. Like, don't you want to make money, Wazowski?
You then
Tack.
You then file your paperwork.
I most certainly did.
I'll do 50%. No, last thing.
30 was already agreed upon
Agreed
arrangement.
upon arrangement.
It all goes back to Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
No. Wrong guy. Different guy.
Firestein.
Firestein.
Yeah.
Harvey Firestein. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weinstein.
Last thing I want to mention before we wrap up, I know this is a little bit of a longer episode. Did you guys see or hear about the stuff Freddie Prinze Jr. was talking about? Did you see this?
From
About-
today?
About Filoni?
No.
No.
Wait, you mean is it new? I've
No,
seen
I
him
mean,
over the years.
No, I think
he said
I
stuff.
think it was in an interview or a podcast recently.
I've seen him in a
like this
podcast
week.
saying some stuff about Filoni in the past. But what do you mean?
This was about Rogue One. You know what I'm talking about or no?
You mean with his? Well, let me hear what you're going to
okay,
say.
so anyway, Freddie Prinze Jr. I actually saw I heard about this and I actually came across the clip today. And it was
I
he
might
was-
have seen this.
He
I've
was
seen one.
joking, and I don't know how old the clip was. I just saw it kind of resurfacing, so I don't know if this was a while ago. Or I hadn't heard it before, so I thought, oh, that's interesting. Freddie Prinze Jr. was saying, he's like, I don't know if I can say this, but it's been long enough now that what the heck, I'll just say it. But he goes, Dave Filoni directed the entire Vader scene of Rogue One. For Rogue One.
I had not heard that.
And he said that they actually brought him in and asked him to watch the movie. They asked him to watch it
Yeah.
and give us your thoughts. Like they're like, you're the lore guy. Like they're like,
Dave
so this
said, "My
How would
thoughts."
Vader do this?
and
my
he
thoughts?
said, and no.
Action.
No,
he
listen,
just starts
so-
directing.
So they brought him in, and apparently, the first thing Filoni says, they're like, okay, and he's looking at it, and he says, well, I mean, you got the buttons and stuff wrong on Vader's suit, so some of the colors are off. Also, why'd you hire an Italian guy? They said, and they go, what do you mean? He doesn't talk. How do you know we hired an Italian? He goes, well, Vader doesn't talk with his hands, but this guy does.
That's
That's what they
great.
said, and then they immediately recast him.
Oh man.
Poor guy.
That poor guy.
That poor guy.
So Dave,
Italian, get me fired.
It was something. I could have it wrong, but it was something like that. If you
That all
haven't
of
seen
a
the
sudden
video, go
just
look up
turned-
the video.
that
Poor
just
guy.
turned into Dana Carvey and Adam Sandler as Pepper Boy.
You get the pepper, I wanted the pepper. He said, I do the pepper. Oh, you name it bologna.
I don't know. I could have some of the details wrong.
Yes, sir, pepper boy. Yes, sir.
I could have some of
That's
the details
funny.
wrong, but
Oh,
so if you
man.
haven't seen it, you haven't heard it, you can look up the
Got the
video
buttons
yourself.
wrong?
But
The colors?
apparently, some of the
Wow.
and so and then he ended up actually. They said, at least Freddie Prinze Jr. said he directed that.
Wow.
The Vader scene
After
leading
that,
all the way
I
up
would say
to-
you've earned it. They'd be like, "Hey, can
Also,
you just kind of
I
keep
love
going?"
that Freddie's just sitting there while they're filming this movie. He's not
Yeah.
involved in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Freddie's
He's like,
just,
I,
he's,
They
just
probably
around.
I
just
played
talked
Vader.
about it.
I did it.
He's like, oh, I was just there. I thought that
I
maybe
thought
he
it was interesting.
I played Fred and Scooby Doo.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And he said,
Scooby Doo.
"Zoinks like a Filoni.
Like, look out.
Like I want to be in Rebels.
Like Ezra. Like, where's your parents? No, I.
Resra.
Restart plan.
Rezra. Rezra Ridger. Zoinks.
Like space
oh,
whales.
man, I love it.
Oh, I love
Space
it, too.
whales. We got the Purgles. We got the space
Oh,
whales.
boy.
We're hinting at Thrawn. Can't wait. for-
Purgatory.
Can't wait
Oh.
to next. To
I
next
just
week.
shout out words now if I think it's clever. Purgatory.
Scalumbados.
That's a real toot in the toot pie. I don't know.
Yanking the
It's a real
sky
nick
pie.
in the knickerbock. You could just go on all day.
Ezra closing here. Just a little warning.
Ezra closing here.
Ezra. My quote today is a little bit more of an ensemble piece, so just be ready.
Oh
We continue.
gosh! All right. Well, hey, as
wrong.
always, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and smash that notification
What are we
bell.
doing?
People are saying the greatest podcast
And drop your
that
comments.
we've seen.
Drop your comments
This guy could have
in the
loved it
video
well.
once the live ends here in a minute. Drop your comments in the video what you liked about Mando. Maybe what you didn't like, what you're looking forward to. Maybe drop your Mando maybes, your predictions for what's going to happen in the rest of Season 3. We appreciate you all tuning in. And as always, may the Force be with you.
Oh, I love
I
doing
could hear that scream just all day.
I think that I will.
That rivals that rivals the
Bad
R2D2.
baby. Bad baby. It's a book. It's a book.
No, it's not
It's
a
a book.
pet.
Bad,
Oh.
bad